Alright, so today I have for you guys another Adamancipator deck profile. I got first place yesterday with this deck. I did make some changes, so that's why I wanted to put out another profile. And I truly believe in this deck's power level. I really think it's a strong option, and it can really just catch so many people by surprise. So much to the point where I am like really thinking about taking this to a regional. My list is very different than anything you've probably ever seen on YouTube for Adamancipator. And I truly believe I have a really strong build here, and I'm going to try to keep this video short but also in depth. In my last deck profile, I kind of explained how the way that I built this deck was so that you have guaranteed follow-up, as well as being able to play through like whiffing on your minors. Another thing is that with this deck, I kind of made it more like a level 6 synchro spam, so I'll get into that whenever I get to the extra deck, as well as show you guys like what the main end board is and some niche interactions. But yeah, let's get right into the deck. So for like your main starters, I have 3 Seeker, 3 Analyzer, 3 Researcher, 3 Wakaushi, 3 Bike, and then the Big Benki and the Soul Claw, as well as 3 Small World and your Second Light. So this is essentially 19 starters, and in a 40 card deck, you're always guaranteed to at least see one of these. But the main idea with this is that you want to see 2 to 3 of these, because the hands where you see 2 to 3 of these is whenever your board is just going to be crazy and cracked. This deck is really just able to abuse a lot of the Omni negates, such as Lars and being able to end on cards like Dragite, Crystal Wing. This deck can very easily end on 2 spell and trap negates, as well as monster negates. So like, this deck doesn't really lose to board breakers at all, and it can play through Shifter, Droll, Ash, Nib extremely easy. Like, there's no one hand trap that's good against this deck. And that's why I feel like this deck is like so well positioned in this format. But basically, these are your main starters. Second Light and Small World, kind of self-explanatory. I think these cards are mandatory. There's essentially more copies of these. These are self-explanatory as well. Now the main engine that I'm going to be explaining is going to be the Super Heavy package. So in this variant, I think you 100% need to be playing the Soul Claw as opposed to the Soul Gaia. The main reason is that the Wakaushi kind of has like a secret effect that whenever it's used for a synchro summon, it'll allow you to place it in the scale. So what you do essentially with this package is that any of these 6 get you access to your combo and allows you to go full combo without having to even use your normal summon. Because with these, you summon out the Raptite without having to put up your normal summon, and then the Wakaushi will place itself in the scale. And then you'll also have the Big Benki in the other scale. So basically, not only did you put up a Raptite without your normal summon, but you also managed to put 2 monsters in your scale. So basically, anything you hit off of the Raptite is going to be cracked, and anything in your hand becomes an extender no matter what, because of the fact that you're able to just pen summon as much as you want. Another thing is that I truly have gone full combo with this card without needing to use my normal summon at all. And like, you always get access to Guardian before Nib even matters with this deck. So like, that's why I felt like this engine was 100% mandatory. And I know you're probably thinking that maybe 6 is a little bit too much and that it might become redundant in your hand. I kind of disagree with that. At first I kind of thought the same, but whenever I bumped it up to 6, I truly realized that was just completely wrong. Because even if you do see it in multiples, like, you can literally just pen summon it out, or it can be used as a normal summon. Because if you see multiples, that means you already get access to both scales. So it's either going to be an extender, or it can be fodder for your Small World as well as Second Light. So that's why I feel like it's 100% necessary. Going second, it just gives you so much more gas, as well as going first. So yeah, that's basically the main starters of the deck. Next, for the rocks that you want to hit, we have 3 Supplier, 2 Guardian, 2 Dragite, and then the 2 Hidden Gem. So I am going for a 9 rock count. I know it's probably pretty low, but it works extremely well in this variant, because my mana my main idea with this deck is that game 1, I want to be able to go full combo. On my opponent's turn, I stopped it, and then on my turn, I end the game. So if you're planning on always ending the game, because realistically, this deck is not like a grind deck. You really just want to close out the game. So, and that's why I felt like 9 was completely fine. And then another reason why I feel like 9 is fine is because you have so many ways to deck thin and get cards out of your deck that you don't want to be excavating. So like it'll increase your chances of seeing these. Another reason was that even whenever I was testing like 12 rocks, I was still missing the same amount that I am missing now. So I was like, okay, might as well make my hands that I'm drawing better, but still have the same amount of chance to basically see rocks. Now for like the rock breakdown on the ratios, obviously 3 supplier because it's just like the best one. It's an extender in hand, it's a +1 as well as a good rock to hit. Then we have the 2 guardian. So my main reasoning behind 2 guardian is because it's really just like a terrible draw, but in this version of the deck, supplier kind of counts as another guardian, because if you start off with your super heavy engine, you didn't use your normal summon. So as long as like it doesn't matter where you hit on the supplier, as if you summon supplier, add guardian, you can either normal summon it or you can pen summon it out. So in this version of the deck, supplier kind of acts as 3 more copies of the guardian, and so does drawing the hidden gem kind of do that, because if you add the guardian off the supplier and then you go hidden gem in hand, you can just normal summon the guardian. So that's why I felt like it was reasonable to put this guard down to 2. I never missed it at 3 this weekend. I never felt like the third one ever came up. And I ended up cutting the third one for a second copy of the crystal. Now this card is just crazy. I think everybody should be playing this card at 2. It's a free draw one, again, +1/+1. These are cards that you want to be hitting because they give you guaranteed follow-up. Another neat interaction with this card is that you can utilize both effects to draw one and put himself back in the same turn. So again, this kind of contributes to your follow-up to guarantee that you're able to go for game on the following turn, as well as just give you more cards in hand, allow you to see more extenders and play through even more disruption. And then hidden gem. So one thing off the bat I forgot to mention is that I completely cut Doki Doki. Doki Doki I think is a terrible draw. Every single time I saw it in my hand, I'm just like, I would much rather this just be something else. And like even whenever I was summoning it during the combo, I never saw myself really wanting to resolve it because of the fact that it just like got rid of a card in hand. And then I really got to thinking about it, and I was like, this card is basically does the exact same thing that Doki Doki does, but it's also a good draw in hand, and it also gives me a water attribute engrave. Because the reason why Doki Doki was good is because it gave you access to 2, possibly 3 bodies. Most of the time, really just 2. And this does the exact same thing, because you can summon it, and then you get to bring it back engraved, and it also gave you a water attribute. And it's also a really good draw in hand. So that's why I feel like cutting Doki Doki is completely fine. Again, I never missed it, and in this version, with the amount of starters that you're playing, and with the way that you sequence your combo, you're almost always going through all 3 minors every single turn, so you're never missing the Doki Doki at all. Another reason why I really like this card is that, for example, if you have the analyzer with this on board, you can do these 2 into your Coral Dragon, and then you'll most likely already have another Earth, so then you'll get to use this effect to summon back, use this plus the Coral Dragon to go into the Dragite Synchro, and then Coral Dragon will give you a free draw one. So that's like a really neat interaction, that these 2 alone on board basically get you access to a Dragite as well as a draw one. Another thing that's cool is that if you went through that line, but you also had this already engraved, and you haven't already used one of your minors, after you went through that line, you can use this effect to return the Coral Dragon to your extra deck to guarantee that you hit off of the last minor, and then this will get to summon again, and then you'll still keep the water attribute engraved while also securing that you didn't miss. So that's why I feel like this card was extremely strong in this variant, because of Coral Dragon, and it gave you more guaranteed follow-up. But yeah, 9 felt extremely good. I never felt like I was like missing too much, and with the amount of gas that you're playing in this version, Like, even if you miss, you're still playing through it. But yeah, I really recommend you to try a lower raw count and just play more starters. Just see how you like the deck. Like, this deck just felt so strong. I was even like, whenever I was playing, I was like, why? Like, it feels so good into interruption. But yeah, again, just cut down on all the bad cards, and try to maximize on as many good cards as I could play. For the non-engine, I managed to fit 10. So we have 3 Ash, 3 Draw, 3 Shifter, 1 Nib. So I wanted to play the most impactful ones. These 9 have the highest possibility to completely end your opponent's turn. And normally, if you're drawing a combination of any 2 of these, that's more than enough to stop your opponent's turn. Shifter, you do not care about this at all. I know you're probably thinking, what about the attributes engraved? Literally, you don't care, because you have so many other M board pieces in your extra deck that it won't matter at all. And Shifter is literally just an auto win against so many decks. Ash and Draw, these are just good ones as well. They also give you the attributes engraved for both Raptite and Leonite. And then the 1 Nib, this was because of Small World, but also because the idea was that if I open this with any one of these 3, I should be pretty good. One thing to note is that any of these can actually go into Small World. So you can go Small World into any of these 2, into the Dragite Crystal, into either Seeker or Researcher. And then you can do Small World into this, into Wakaushi, into your Analyzer. And then you can also do this into the Dragite Crystal, into either Seeker or your copy of Researcher. One cool interaction also is that if you're under Shifter, you can go Small World to get you the Wakaushi, and then since Small World to get banished, you're able to put up the Raptite without your normal summon. So basically, if you're under Shifter, that basically gives you 9 copies in your deck to put up Raptite without having to use your normal summon, which is crazy. But yeah, I really like this hand trap lineup. Post side, you go into 13 non-engine. I really just tried to like fit as much as I could, because I really feel like you just need as much as possible without hurting your deck's consistency. So I felt like 10 was perfect in the main deck, post side 13, and it worked great, honestly. For the extra deck, we have the only level 4 Synchro Herald. It's probably cuttable, but it definitely does come up in like very niche scenarios, so I think it's worth it to keep it. Now for like the main part of the extra deck, the reason why I think I did so well, we have the 2 Raptite, 1 Leonite, 1 Coral Dragon, 1 Tri-Edge, and 1 Trisecta. There are turns where I literally go through all 5 of these in one turn. And that is because all of these just give you so much value, and it's actually insane. Like Trisecta to just reborn, give you more bodies. Tri-Edge Master to just draw you a card. This is probably supposed to be Stardust Charge, but I haven't gotten mine yet. Coral Dragon, it can pop cards as well as give you a draw one. So again, you really try to maximize on getting as much follow-up as you can. And with this version of the deck, I realized that I'm always ending on 3 to 5 cards in hand for follow-up, which is nuts. Leonite, this card is cracked as well. I'm surprised that people are even cutting this card. And then 2 Raptite, you need one for going first, and you need one for the follow-up turn. But definitely the MVP here was definitely the Trisecta and Leonite. So the reason why these cards were so good was because in this version of the deck, I really just wanted to maximize on the value of these. And the 6s are what allow you to go through all 3 minors all in the same turn. And what I mean by that is, for example, let's say you have let's say you have 2 level 4s and then any of the level 2s, right? So you're probably thinking hero, right? Okay, I could do these 2 into a 6, and then what are you doing past that, right? There isn't much you can do here. Like with these 3 bodies, ironically, there's not much you can really do, because what 6 are you going into that pairs well with a level 4? Because now that we don't have Baron, there's no good level 10 synchro to go into, and you don't want to commit these bodies into IP, because I really just feel like IP is like a really just suboptimal end piece for this deck. But what I was doing instead was actually going these two into Trisecta, Reborn this. I can go these two into Leonite. Leonite will then add me the miner that I haven't already used that turn. So it's gonna get me even more bodies. And then I turn these two into my copy of Lars. So yeah, so you manage to turn these 3 bodies into an interruption, as well as a way to keep on extending, because you add the one that you didn't already hit off of Leonite. And that's what I meant, like truly maximizing on the toolbox that these cards give you. And again, like for example, the analyzer with the hidden gem into Coral Dragon, into Dragite, just gives you more follow-up, gives you more lines of play. And I really just felt like playing this deck as a level 6 spam was what allowed me to do so good. But yeah, absolutely love these. I think all of these are mandatory. I wouldn't take any of these out. Like I went into every single one of these this weekend. For the level 8s, we have Dragite and Crystal Wing. These 2 are mandatory. I don't think there's another 8 I would play. These are like the 2 best ones that you can go into. But yeah, that's it for the synchros. For the XYZs, we have Gallant Granite, Dweller, as well as Lars. Part of the end board, can be part of the end board as well. And then this is a way to just keep on extending. If you like, a lot of the time, I really didn't go into this card a lot. I rarely ever go into Granite, but I still think that it's mandatory to play, because in like a really in like a weak game state, or like a simplified game state, Gallant just becomes extremely strong just to keep on extending. But if your board is already kind of strong enough, you can risk it and go into this to add Researcher to potentially keep on extending. But this requires you to end on IP to make use of the body. So that's why I don't really like going into it that much, but I still think it's required. I still think it comes up sometimes. But yeah, that's it for the XYZs. All these came up 100% Dweller. I think Dweller is really strong in this format. For the links, we have IP. This is supposed to be SP, 100% play SP in this slot. And then the Asa. So the reason for these was that Asa can steal Fenrir, can help you go for game in a simplified game state. Another thing is that, again, in a simplified game state, going into this, like let's say you're in a simplified game state and you have this normal summon, you summon a level 2 off of it and you weren't able to hit a level 4. You can turn those 2 into this, potentially like an imperm, and then go battle phase, crash this, and then this can then add you the your copy of the analyzer. And then since you have no bodies and your opponent does, you can just special summon, then go into Granite, and then keep on extending that way. So I feel like this was definitely mandatory. It definitely does come up. SP, again, required, and so is IP. Realistically, I think these are all required. Well, not even Lawrence. I think these are required, especially if you get debarriered. If you get debarried, you're kind of just set up like IP with Dweller, and then potentially like a Guardian, and then a body to like link off with the IP, which is still like really, really good, especially considering that like that should be more than enough for your opponent's crackback. But again, like this deck can easily just spam bodies even without having to go into the synchros. So even like something like the barrier doesn't hurt that much. But yeah, that's it for the extra and the main deck. I don't think I would change much from the extra deck at all. It felt extremely smooth, really nice. Let me show you like the main cards that you end on. So let's say, so if you opened the Super Heavy Samurai package, your M board is going to be a variation of 4 of these cards, including your Guardian. Let me get that out real quick. Yeah. So if you open access to the Super Heavy Samurai cards, your end board is going to be a variation of 4 of these cards. Only these 2 if you like open like Ash or the Droll, so keep that in mind. But for the most part, any of these 4 are going to be part of your end board if you open a Super Heavy package. If you don't, it's going to be a variation of 3 of these. Probably not IP, because IP is a little bit weaker. So if I'm only able to end on 3 of these, I try to make it Lars, Crystal Wing, or Dragite, and then or Lars, Dragite, and Guardian. But even then, if you didn't open access to the Super Heavies, the deck has enough gas to where even without the Super Heavy Samurais, you can still end on 4 of these. So most of the time, you're ending on a variation of 4 of these, and sometimes it'll be 3. But like always 3 at least, most of the time 4. And like all these are just insanely strong. Like you have negate, floodgate, right? You have follow up with these. That's another thing that's crazy, is like Leonite being able to like Reborn Guardian whenever you have Ash in hand. That catches people so much off guard, because whenever they're starting their turn, they like read your cards and they're like, okay, this isn't live at all, I don't have to worry about this, right? And by the time you Ash them, they have forgotten that Ash is even a fire attribute, and they forgot that this is even a card, because they're thinking, oh, it's not an interruption. And then you go Reborn Guardian for them to negate. That's like more than enough for a game. But yeah, that's the main thing. If you guys want like a test hand video, I'd be more than happy to like put like a 20-minute test hand video of just me playing solitaire, so I can show you guys my type of like sequencing, because you do have to sequence a little bit different with this variant, and show you how this, and to give you like proof that this deck consistently ends on really good boards. I did do a test hand video in my other deck profile that I made, so if you guys are curious in that, make sure you guys check that out. It's probably in like the last 5 minutes of the video. That kind of showcases my main idea behind the deck. But before I end this video, I did want to quickly show you guys some options that didn't quite make the cut, as well as a mini rundown of the side deck that I used. So cards that didn't make the cut, it's going to be Diabell, Zapper Shrimp, Cupid Pitch, and Satellite Warrior. So my main idea with this is that you could go, if you open the Super Heavies, or if you open Small World or something, this can get you access to Zapper Shrimp, and then these 2 can go into Satellite Warrior to pop like 3 to 5 cards on your opponent's turn. But it felt a little bit situational, and in most times I would rather just end on 2 Spell and Trap interruptions, because of the fact that people are playing board breakers, and I didn't want to lose to my opponent opening 2 board breakers. It is kind of neat though, but another thing that I don't like about it is that it takes up 3 extra deck slots, and that would probably make your deck a little bit weaker into D-Barrier and like a lot of other stuff. And like these are only like for like niche hands, whereas the way that I already have the extra deck built, I feel like it was already strong the way it was. Cupid Pitch is also kind of neat, but it kind of feels really awkward resolving this card. Like, it feels in a way that you're going minus, but you're also kind of going plus. It makes you feel like you're doing so much to get so little. So like you can do Dun Ethereum with this, or you could do the Hoppier Squadron to again go into Satellite Warrior or something else on your opponent's turn. But again, it didn't come up as much for me in testing, and I felt like the way that I already had the deck built was already strong enough. And again, like the thing that this deck has against like other decks is the fact that you're able to put Omni negates, you're able to put consistent 4 negates on board, which no other deck can really do that, to be honest. But yeah, that's it for the honorable mentions. For the side deck, I think it could have been a little bit different. It worked well yesterday, but I'll show you guys what I mean. I played 3 Phantasme, the 2 other Nibiru. So the theory with Phantasme was that it could make my hand literally just more cracked. It was a body on board, can bait interruption, as well as just really just the main idea behind this was that I wanted to be able to fix my hands perfectly and secure that I drew 3 starters whenever I was going second. It could also help you dig for more hand traps. Another thing is that with this card, if you like drew into something like Shifter, it wouldn't be dead, because like you draw Shifter, you still have no cards in grave, you just Shifter them. So I feel like that was pretty neat. I didn't use it at all, but the theory behind it is 100% there. I think I would still play this card. 2 nib. I don't know. I didn't see it that much. When I saw it, it didn't really matter. But not 100% decided on this. But the theory is there. I think it's still good to have 3. Because if you like just add in 2 of these and you already have a lot of like strong hand traps in the main, so like 12, like 3 nib with like the other 9 hand traps in your deck should be enough. Next, I decided to play 3 Dark Ruler. Even though it conflicts with the Super Heavy Samurais, it's good if you don't draw them, but it's also good if you do draw them because you just resolve that first and then you just Dark Ruler them and it's completely fine. And even with Shifter, if you draw this with Shifter, it's fine with the Super Heavies. This deck can very easily play through Interruption and like break boards on its own, and just like put up big bodies to attack. So that's why I felt like Dark Ruler was really strong. Another thing is that this card was good in conjunction with the Phantasmate. Definitely came up. It was really good. Next, just 1 Harpies and then the 1 Archphoenix Eccentric, because you can go Small World into with any of your rocks into Nib into this. So this could like pop a Floodgate. It's also good with the Super Heavy Samurais because it doesn't require you to do it before. It doesn't put a spell engrave. Harpies is just a blowout card. That's it for like the going second cards. Going first, I played 2 Judgment, 1 Anti-Spell, the Vanadium Reframing with the Amritara. I don't think this is good to main deck. I would not be main decking this at all, especially in this format where you just want to draw as many going second cards as possible. I felt like siding it was completely fine. Anti-Spell and Judgment. So this is actually supposed to be 3 Gravity Collapse, because I was thinking, okay, I can already put up 2 to 3 spell/trap negates, so like realistically I'm never losing to a board breaker. And then like again, Vanadium Reframing can like cover that as well. So I was like, okay, what is a good going first card that I could put that could secure me the win? And that's just Gravity Collapse. Unfortunately, it didn't get here in time through the mail, so I just played these 3. But ideally, these are supposed to be 3 Gravity Collapse. That card is literally just an FTK. It's actually ridiculous how that card reads. But yeah, 100% 3 Gravity Collapse. Yeah, that's it for the entire side deck. Highly recommend that you guys try this deck out. It is extremely fun. Has a lot of gas. This deck really just has a special place in my heart. It's like the original Tearlament deck. But yeah, that's it for the deck. If you guys want that test hand video, let me know down in the comments. Make sure you guys leave a like. I'll be more than happy to do that. If you guys want more Adamancipator content, or you guys want me to cover a specific deck, I know there is a lot of new support coming out for cool decks. So if you guys want like me to do Beat Troopers, I'll be more than happy. Fire King as well. Just let me know and I'll look into it. But yeah, that's it for this video.